All right, everybody, welcome in here to Mile High Sports for your pregame show. I'm your host, Ryan Blackburn, joined by the host of the Denver Stiff Show.
It was your podcast, Ryan.
It
Golly.
was my show for a little bit here. It's the site manager of Denver Stiffs, Zach Mikash. Zach, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well, sir. Happy to be still on and doing shows. That means the Nuggets are still playing basketball.
They are. I was just thinking about this before we hopped on. I got to change my rotation chart. That thing is out of date. There's a different team that the Nuggets are playing, and very excited to be able to cover that with all of the folks here, all the folks that follow Mile High Sports. We had, I think, one of our biggest watch parties ever on Saturday. Just an incredible moment, some incredible pictures that are popping out there over at number 38. Was really interested to see how that was going to go with two game sevens basically overlapping with each other. Correct me if I'm wrong. Were there close to 1,100 people there?
Yeah, it certainly felt like it. It was wall to wall people, standing room only, and there wasn't that much standing room. But hey, no fire code violations. We were on the up and up. So great crowd out there. Great. I mean, it just goes to show number 38. It's such a great spot to watch. The patio was rocking. They had dual giant screens, right? Avs on one side, Nuggets on the other. Really cool venue. Awesome place to watch a game. Really any game. But yeah, that was special on Saturday for sure.
Gotta love it. I was lucky enough to be in attendance for game 7 and another incredible moment in this season. And I think one of those that I'm going to remember in terms of how that was kind of a pivot point, I would say, for the Nuggets in terms of success or failure within the season. I think there's a lot of people that are going to say the Nuggets season is a failure if they don't win a championship. I don't know. I have said that before, and I understand why people say it. But I also have been pretty consistent in thinking, yeah, Denver's not the best team in the world. I think they're about the 5th, 6th, 7th best team in the NBA or so. And they are in the top 8. They're in the top 8 in the second round right now. So if you look at it through that prism, only the top 4 teams make it into the next round. So, and one of those teams is going to be the Nuggets or the Thunder. Thunder have been fantastic for this entire year. But backing up just for a second, the last series that Denver played between themselves and the LA Clippers, just a very dynamic series, up and down, back and forth, punches being thrown. There's just a lot of drama that went on throughout that series. What was your kind of lasting takeaway from game 7 and then the series as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, game 7, I think, like you said, if you want to call it maybe a turning point, I think we'll see, right? We're fixing to find out here tonight. But what you saw was a Nuggets team that was firing on all cylinders, that clearly came out ready for the moment and executed at basically the highest level. I mean, Nikola could have scored some more points if you wanted to be really picky, but maybe they don't let the the Clippers deep bench come in and kind of, make a run there at the end. But we're nitpicking what was otherwise a fantastic game. And it was a fantastic into the series. Like you said, Ryan, punches back and forth, right? The Nuggets go up, or the Nuggets go down 2-1. Everybody is suddenly thinking the sky is falling. Series is over. We've got to blow it all up. They come back. They go up 3-2. Suddenly it's like, we're going to finish this in game 6. There's no problem. On to the Thunder. And then we set up for a game 7, which was a little bit shocking to see the Nuggets, have a blowout in a series that's had a couple blowouts, but for the most part has been really competitive and close. A little bit shocking to see the Clippers not be able to match them. But like I said, I think that's my takeaway more than anything, is that this team has shown up as in that moment as we are when we want to be on firing and are firing on all cylinders. We will take a team that a lot of people thought might be a dark horse, contender to come out of the West with the way they ended the season. And the Nuggets just completely outclassed them there in that game 7. That shows you what they're capable of. Much, much tougher opponent in front of them now.
100%. It definitely feels like just overall Denver running into a team that was about their equal in terms of the Clippers. That 4-5 matchup, they had been competing for the entire season in terms of standings. And Denver kind of fell back towards the end of the year, but the Clippers were advancing. They were moving forward. They were the second best net rating team in the entire NBA after March 1st. And the only other team that was better was these OKC Thunder that the Nuggets are going to have to face in this round starting tonight. So Denver's got a tough road. I know some people don't feel that way because they avoided the Minnesota Timberwolves. They avoided, I guess, the Los Angeles Lakers, although those guys you can say goodbye. I think that Denver still has a really tough matchup that they've had to go through. I think the Clippers were one of those teams that it kind of proves whether you deserve to be there or not, in my opinion. Like the Clippers are a great barometer team, a great test to see what kind of level you're able to reach. And I do think that the Nuggets are a better team than where they started the playoffs. And that's always a great sign.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a bit of a meat grinder here in this Western Conference. I mean, the Nuggets are the second highest seed remaining now, which is normally would be somewhat shocking to say, but when you look at it, really you had Oklahoma City, the story of the whole season. You had Oklahoma City way up above everybody else, and then 2 through 8 seemed like it was really close. Of course, Memphis, John Morant goes out. That once again changes their dynamic entirely, and they don't look like the team that they were throughout the season. But everybody else, I mean, 2 through 7, that was you could have shuffled those teams anywhere among the seeding. It really wouldn't matter. They were all very, very close, and we saw that right with the 4, 6, and 7 seeds advancing. And so, yeah, if you, like I said, I mean, you maybe have avoided the Timberwolves, but if you come out of this series and win this series and go to the Western Conference Finals, there's a good chance you're seeing the Minnesota Timberwolves right in that next round. So it's going to be an incredibly hard path no matter what. You knew you're going to have to face this Oklahoma City team at some point, or you would assume you would. The only way that they probably were going to be eliminated would be by a team like Denver with that championship pedigree. So it's not going to be a cakewalk by any means, and it just goes to show you how competitive the West was this year. It really was. 8 teams that could have been. You could have made an argument for any of them at the beginning of the playoffs of why they could have been a contender.
100%. There's a lot of reasons to believe in the entire West from top to bottom. Not a lot of reasons to believe in the Eastern Conference. Although, hey, Cleveland got hurt and Indiana took game 1 in their first game. Boston and New York looks like they're knotted up right now. So we'll kind of keep people appraised as that's the game that's preceding the Nuggets Thunder matchup. So going to be very interesting to see how the East pans out. I think a lot of people just assumed, all right, Cleveland, Boston, they will advance in their round. OKC will advance, and then there will be one other West team that kind of advances depending on how the bracket breaks. But
sure,
there are some reasons to believe that the teams in the East might struggle a little bit with that. So let's see if the teams in the West, especially Denver, can be the upsetting factor. Because let's face it, like I know Nuggets fans don't not want to necessarily hear this because they want to believe that they are at the top of the world, like have the best player in the world, can do all these different things, have done it before. The Nuggets are the underdogs. They're very clearly the underdogs in this series, and there's a good reason why. OKC won 68 games in the regular season and then went 4-0 in their first round series, just torching the Memphis Grizzlies in that first round. What to you stands out as their biggest strength or strengths as a team, and what things that Denver is going to have to watch out for, especially tonight?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest strengths for Oklahoma City, probably the biggest in my opinion, is the depth, right? This is a team that's legit 1 through 10. I mean, like Jalen Williams, the second Jalen Williams, didn't even really play in that first series. He's though probably a guy who's a pretty huge factor, has been in the past when the Thunder have played the Nuggets, and being that sort of big off the bench, even though he's not that huge, but at least can, make things a little bit difficult for Nikola Jokic, enough to give his guys a couple minutes of rest. They've got Alex Caruso coming off the bench. They've got 1 through 5 are guys who play their roles really, really well. They've got the presumptive MVP. It's just a team that top to bottom is very well built, is very talented, is very young, which might be a weakness somewhat in the playoffs, right? But There's a reason they won 68 games. They don't have really any holes. They play great defense. They've got good shooting. They can score. They've got a player who can score pretty much any possession that he wants. They've got great interior defense. They're good on the glass. It's just across the board. Oklahoma City is just a very good team, and so it's what you have to do is what makes it hard in the playoffs is you look for weaknesses to exploit, matchups that work to your advantage. And there's just not a ton, except for you still have the best player on earth. And it doesn't matter how good the other team is over there. He's good enough to beat them. Can he get enough from his supporting cast? That's because Oklahoma City's supporting cast is going to bring it.
They are going to bring it. And so you said a lot there. A couple of the things that I really want to highlight. Youth is one thing that is kind of separating OKC versus every other contender in the NBA. They are the youngest team, certainly remaining in the NBA. I think they were the youngest team overall in the league, and they were still able to win 68, which is unfathomable in and of itself. But they have the young legs. They have the fresh legs. They are in a position where Denver, having gone through a 7-game, fight it out, like duke it out kind of series, they're going to be tired. They're going to be gassed. And there is this question, I think, between fatigue versus youth versus like how teams approach the situation. Do the Thunder just assume that the Nuggets are going to roll over and then get caught by surprise because of Denver's veteran savvy? Is Denver going to get run out of the building because they are running into a hornet's nest effectively after fighting 7 full games? I think there's a lot of excitement and concern about about both of those factors, frankly, because like OKC does have as many options as they do. They do not have to overload anybody other than really Shea, and saying that, okay, he's going to be the main guy in all these games, but it could be Jalen Williams, like wing Jalen Williams, excuse me. It could be Chet Holmgren. It could be Lou Dort. It could be Kaysen Wallace. It could be Alex Caruso, Isaiah Hartenstein, Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe. Name your names. The OKC Thunder have a variety of different options that they can go to. Now, the Nuggets, they also had 6 guys, and Danny has it along the bottom. Denver has 6 different guys that average double figures and had a lot of good guys step up in the game 7, especially. So where do you think you come down on like Denver's 7.5-man rotation versus OKC's 10 or 11-man rotation, depending on the situation? Do you think that's going to help or hurt Denver that they just trust so few guys?
Yeah, it's somewhat a problem. I was going to joke there that, they got 6 guys in double figures, but they've also probably only have 6 guys in single figures, right? Like it's been that rough with the rest of the bench. So does that work to your advantage? Sometimes in the playoffs, right? Guys extend themselves. They find a way to get the energy and play 40 plus minutes every other night. That is the hard part now, is you don't get a 2-day rest for the rest of the series. You're going to be on again, off again every single night. So you want to try and find some moments for Peyton Watson, for a Jalen Pickett, a DeAndre Jordan, right? These other guys who they've been able to depend on a little bit. They've had some moments in that first series, at least Peyton Watson and DeAndre Jordan. But by and large, it's going to be those 6 guys, which if those 6 guys are always on, then like it's great. It works out. But the problem is this is basketball. Like even in the playoffs, guys have off nights. It happens. And there's just no one really, there's no cavalry coming off the bench to help the Nuggets. Whereas, like you said, you listed all the names coming off that bench for Oklahoma City. And again, all guys who play a role, who know what they're supposed to do when they're on the court. They mesh well with the starters that they pair with out there on the court, and everything just works. The Nuggets, where does Jalen Pickett fit if Russell Westbrook and Jamal Murray are on the floor? It's where does DeAndre Jordan is clearly a guy who can only play minutes when Nikola Jokic is not. They don't have a ton of flexibility, even with the guys that they are playing. They're very specific, a little bit more versatility over there on Oklahoma City side, and all guys who mesh well with each other. regardless of who's on the floor. So it's just going to be tough, I think, and I think ultimately in my head, that's probably the deciding factor in this series. But yeah, if those top six, who are all certainly capable, if they have an outstanding series, the Nuggets absolutely can go ahead and steal game one, and then end up stealing the series.
Well, it looks like we've got some graphics here, some ESPN predictions from our guy, Danny Bailey. I think he's going to try to throw them up on screen at some point here. Oh,
there you go.
Hey, look at that. Wow. OKC looks to be the popular pick, unsurprisingly. You've got Thunder at 6.
I think what's
Thunder.
Surprising is you only have one person picking Thunder in 5. Everybody thinks this will go 6 or 7.
And honestly, that feels pretty respectful overall, given what OKC has done and how long of a series Denver just played. Denver must have made a really strong impression in the game 7, especially just playing pretty hard, playing pretty well, different guys stepping up. Hey, when Russell Westbrook goes and gets you 5 steals and then takes an intentional tech while hyping up the crowd, it's things turn around really quickly. So I can understand that for sure. But yeah, hey, looks like Denver is clearly the underdog in this situation. Surprised our guy Dave McMenamin did not pick Thunder in 4. But hey, we'll see whether that changes or not.
Well, I think what you saw in the series, and certainly in Game 7, but also in Game 5, is that it's very hard to win in Denver, right? When the intensity is high, and you got to play 40 plus minutes at altitude, it's a difficult thing to do. So you assume the Nuggets are going to get at least one game. Looks like most people are assuming they'll get at least 2 of those games in Denver. That makes sense. I think it's going to be hard for the Thunder to match that intensity in every single game. I don't think we'll see a sweep, even though I think I joked about it with you on stage over there at number 38 a week ago. But this is a team. I think it's going to be a tough. Oh, there you go. There's some pictures of the event. Like I said, wall to wall people. It was a good time. But yeah, I think it's going to be. It's going to be a really hard series to win for the Nuggets, but it would be a tall ask of anybody to think that they're going to sweep, come into Denver, win to back-to-back games in that altitude, and that intensity. And the Nuggets, like you said, the Thunder only lost 14 games this entire season. 2 of those are to Denver, though, so that is something.
It is fascinating. I think I saw a stat that of the remaining teams in the bracket that are in the playoff field, the Thunder are 8-8 against those teams, and we're 60-6 in all other games.
That's
all of them. That to me is wild. Now, just for full posterity, I think they had 2 losses to Denver. They had 2 losses to Minnesota. They had 2 losses to Golden State.
Yep.
And then there were a couple of losses in the Eastern Conference. I think one to OKC, one to Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Say it again.
So I think they lost one of the games to Cleveland.
Yep. I know that. I remember that one for sure.
Yeah, one other one.
There was one other one in there, but to be able to highlight those with single digits is pretty incredible. And so I think Nuggets fans kind of underrating what the Thunder have done, but that's okay. It's understandable. I don't want to criticize that much. We'll just have to wait and see what this series looks like overall. I was just going to point that out. Boston, New York tied at 100 with 28 seconds remaining. Boston does have the ball, so we will see how they respond. And they're at home, so going to be very interesting to see if the Knicks can steal one here. I don't think anybody really expected that kind of result from Boston, New York, right, Zach?
Yeah, no, but you know what? It should give you hope, right? New York, if they can steal game 1 here in Boston. Obviously, Indiana steals it last night in Cleveland. It's we're seeing these teams, maybe some of these teams who have been a little bit longer in the tooth, right? All these teams of Indiana game 7, New York game 7, Nuggets game 7, right? You can see maybe what we're seeing is perhaps a rollover effect of what you're talking about, where the team who comes in is just already in this schedule of day on, day off, day on, day off, versus the team who's been sitting for a week. That could certainly work to the Nuggets' favor tonight.
We have Celtics miss. Jason Tatum missed a step back three. Knicks got the rebound. They have a timeout with about 5 seconds remaining now. So
who are you giving it to?
They took timeout, so they've got a little bit of time here. Knicks, if they win that game, that'll cause some serious uproar. And you're right, like if you get all the underdogs, all the lower seeds in this situation to win those games, like the best thing that Denver can do is just have as many of the series around them extended as possible. And like if Denver does have to go into a long drawn, fight it out, drag it down series with the Thunder on top of going with the Clippers, they need everybody else around them to be in a long drawn out series as well. So curious to see whether those series kind of pan out that direction. But Zach, final couple of things here. Game ones are not necessarily super indicative of how the rest of the series is going to go. If Denver loses this one because they are gassed, I'm certainly not going to overreact. Kind of expect that at this point. I also remember back in the bubble when Denver did basically the same thing and Jamal had the "we play Thursday" meme that went pretty viral. They did not play well on that Thursday in that first game one against the Clippers and lost that one pretty badly. So will be interesting to see whether Denver can bounce back from that. Are you going to have any major takeaways from game one unless it's a surprising result?
Yeah, no, I mean, not really. Again, if they get blown out, it would be probably one of the less surprising results. If they blew out the Thunder, that would be surprising.
Whew, I mean,
but
if they win, it would be, I think, a series changing perspective for me.
Yeah. I mean, it very well could be. I don't know. I mean, I'm old enough to remember winning game one on the road in San Antonio twice and losing in 5 bowl times. So, we'll see. That's the thing. The Nuggets, they have to just come out and try and give some sort of fight, right? Like that's all you really want to see from them tonight. Obviously, they coming off of a grueling 7-game series. That's tough. So, losing, getting blown out, not surprising. Not going to take too much from that. If they win, right? If nothing else, it's job done, right? Like for the game one and really game two, you got to try and at least get a split here in Oklahoma City. That would be the job done. You go home, defend your home court, and suddenly you're up 3-1, right? So if they get the win, then that's great, and I think you feel great about their potential in the series. But yeah, game one's, who knows? Anything could happen. Certainly in a series like this where you've got a team who was fantastic in the regular season, split the series against this team, one team rested, one team tired, one team rusty, one team ready to go. I wouldn't take too much from it. There's a lot of different specific game one things happening right now that might not necessarily carry over the rest of the series.
I was laughing. I was reacting to our guy Danny down in the StreamYard here, putting his hands up like, oh my gosh, Jalen Brunson missed a shot and they went to overtime. So that game is going to overtime, folks. We're probably not going to stick around for much longer. Just like we'll allow you guys to watch the overtime. It's also a possibility that they start Nuggets Thunder a little bit.
Starting on True TV, right? Is where we're going to be.
Yeah. So we will see what happens here. Final predictions for game one tonight.
I think they lose. I'm going to be optimistic and say they don't get just completely blown out. But yeah, I think it's probably like a 10-point loss. We'll call it 1-0. We'll call it 112-102.
112-102 would be honestly a pretty reasonable result. I think that the Thunder are one of those teams where you get them rolling and they want to dominate you. So like I think that there's a possibility that this is closer to like a 20-25 point loss. But I'm not going to change my opinion. Like, even if Denver loses game one, they can win the series. It's going to be about how they recover from it over the time. Like, can they close the margins a little bit more? Can they shoot better than OKC throughout the series? I don't think they will, but I'm at least willing to listen to the arguments. So I've got OKC winning this one by like 20, but I'm curious to see whether Denver can pick up some things along the way, whether there are any signs of encouragement over that time. With Memphis, when they played, it was a 50-point loss. So if it happens that way, probably not super encouraging.
20's better than 50. Well, right.
I'm really breaking some news here, so
We'll take it. No, yeah. I mean, listen, the Nuggets don't have the pressure on them. Really, they should have no pressure on them tonight.
Yeah.
It's entirely on Oklahoma City. It's their job to defend their home court in game one as the rested team, as the top seed.
Yeah.
They're just gonna go out and play ball, and sometimes that ends up meaning you play really loose and you play great. So it's certainly a crazier thing to happen. But yeah, if they lose game one, doesn't matter even if they lose by 50. They lost by 30 to the Clippers, right, in that last series, and still ended up winning. Not in game one, obviously, but
we will see what happens. I'm very curious to see what ultimately comes down. But folks, I think that's probably going to do it. This has been fun, Zach, as always. Thank you for Patrick has been pretty confident in terms of me not knowing what I'm talking about, and he clearly knows what he's talking about. So We'll see, my man. I hope you're right. I really do. Everybody, thank you for tuning into the show. Always appreciate it. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new. If you're watching on Twitter, like and share. That would be great. For everybody, he is Zach Mikash over at denverstiffs.com. I'm Ryan Blackburn at Mile High Sports. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will talk to you guys very soon.